Now, what I'm about to tell you is very dangerous information. Information which powerful people will kill for to be kept quiet. But knowing this will change everything you know about the Marvel Universe. The wise thing to do would be to go back to your life of blissful ignorance and pick another video. I can see you're still here. Curiosity killed the cat, you know, but I can see you are made of sterner stuff. Now, no doubt you're an educated purveyor of comics and their history, and know all about the origin of the Fantastic Four and their fateful journey into space, or Ajax Atomic Labs delivering radioactive material only for the driver to lose control and hit a young Matt Murdock, or Peter Parker getting bitten by a radioactive spider. What are the odds, eh? I mean, really, what are the odds? And those are just a handful of the thousands of superpowered individuals in the US alone. Think about it. How did the Fantastic Four just walk into a military-controlled compound to hijack a rocket with no one stopping them? At the height of the Cold War, no less. And why was radioactive material being routed through Manhattan only to have a mysterious mechanical fault? Don't get me started on the spider bite. What if I told you they weren't actions of fate or destiny, but instead a more tangible yet shadowy force pulling strings just out of sight? A group called Control. If you've not guessed yet or are unfamiliar with the work, I'm talking about the 2-issue series called Conspiracy from 1998, written by Dan Abnett, a prolific author who's written a lot for Marvel, Games Workshop and 2000 AD. Doing the art is Igor Kordey, who I think presents some of his best work here, a style more fitting to a 40k universe or a Mega City 1, using paint to effortlessly switch between the colourful but really idealised past and the very murky present. Together they make a great team for a peek into Marvel's darker side. Investigative journalist Mark Ewing was in the middle of arguing with his girlfriend over the phone when his office is destroyed during a fight between capes, an occupational hazard when working for the Daily Bugle. In the aftermath, Ewing sifts through the wreckage, only to uncover secrets, files and documents hidden away in a previously standing wall. These were stashed by Cliff Garner, a prestigious journalist who mysteriously disappeared 10 years prior. And like that, Ewing followed Garner's clues and breadcrumbs further into the rabbit hole. But this hole is dark, and Ewing loses Garner's trail. But out of nowhere, Ewing has a new guide. A shadowy figure approaches him on the street, not only making Ewing aware that they knew about his investigation, but filled in huge gaps in his knowledge. The figure reveals there were 6 men in control, secretly shaping the world. First, General Slinkard, a known cape hater. Then you had General Thunderbolt Ross, the famous Hulk botherer, and General Lewis Hayworth, part of the Commission for Superhuman Activities. In addition, you had Bolivar Trask and Howard Stark, as well as Colonel Harrison, the shadiest of the group with a history in off-the-books missions. These giants of the industrial military complex had been directing activities to suit them. According to the mysterious figure, they were responsible for financially supporting a number of intelligent superheroes and villains. And it went beyond just financial support. Control took special measures to create environments and scenarios that would bring about a desired outcome. And for them, those desired outcomes meant experimenting on the public to see if they could create more superpowered people. For example, that unauthorized mission to space from Reed and the others was only made possible because General Harrison had withdrawn funding from the project, encouraging Richards to take drastic action, whilst ensuring guards were looking the other way. And the cosmic rays? How many astronauts have you heard of getting superpowers too? Control had rigged the spaceship to magnify those rays, giving them powers and turning them into the Fantastic Four. Ewing eventually gets picked up by a very much alive but paranoid Garner, who fills him in on some further details, taking him to his secret base, a former control centre of operations. It's here that Garner tells him about his encounter with a young Matt Murdock. In trying to interview him, Garner is stopped by nurses, normally innocent enough, but these nurses have been brought in that very same day. A very suspicious set of circumstances which looked very much like someone trying to cover up Matt's accident. But Garner isn't alone in this bunker. General Harrison is there too, as in the former member of Control, and the plot thickens further as he quickly outs Garner as a life model decoy, the same they use in S.H.I.E.L.D. With the stakes as high as they are, it's impossible to know who to trust. Harrison points out that funding and engineering superpowered beings is one thing, but Control actively covered up instances of superpowered events. This had its origins in Gormu destroying half a city, something unknown to all but a tiny handful. This practice inspired Control and became a key aspect of its operations. An unknowing public are much easier to mould, and it always gives them plausible deniability. So what was Control's purpose? Well, if Harrison is to be believed, they were navigating a world filling with beings of huge potential and power. Some could or would be a threat without direction, whilst others could be beneficial to those holding the reins. It also gave them access to incredibly powerful technology such as Stark's microprocessors and Pym's particles because they had supported those. And the brains behind it all? Reed Richards. After the fight with Gormu, it was Richards who came up with the plan to create Control, and his report was presented to the White House and Chiefs of Staff. This was all before he became Mr. Fantastic, but of course Reed has a more recent history of being part of shadowy organisations, as he was a founding member of the powerful Illuminati. So he wasn't part of Control, but he was the inspiration for it. What we don't know is to whom this group answers to, if anyone, and how much did the likes of Stark, Pym and Richards know about what the group got up to. So why does any of this matter? Well, Iron Man, the Hulk, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Man-Thing, and many more all unknowingly owe their power to Control, as do the likes of Mr. Hyde, Otto Octavius and the Mad Thinker. On the most obvious side of things, with only the surface scratched, Control would have been the most influential group in the world, shaping society and politics from the wings, making the CIA's plots look like child's play. The bigger question would be what would happen if this story got out. There would be some interesting personal dilemmas, such as for Daredevil, a hero full of faith. Would knowing that a clandestine operation designed his entire life make him question a divine hand? How would others like Spider-Man feel? Would they hang up their spandex? More interesting to know would be who might take revenge. I can't imagine the likes of the Punisher looking favourably on such actions. And Hulk has a long list of detractors, from supervillains to property owners who might like to have a word with those who were responsible for him. Even the good people of New York might have a few choice questions to ask about why this group funded the perpetual menace of Otto Octavius, and Harrison suggests that this group even supported, although it's unclear how, Ultron. A world-ending threat that would suggest the group either did not understand who they were dealing with, or were playing very fast and loose with the fate of humanity. And that's the really scary part. When Harrison divulges this, he's an old man, no longer part of Control. In his twilight years within the group, he had no idea who was in charge of Control, let alone who is in charge of it now. What if a threat like Ultron did now control it? Or a hostile extraterrestrial being, or even something supernatural? Slowly manipulating things behind the scenes seems like something Loki would very much enjoy. What else could Control have been part of since 1998? Did they tip off the New Warriors as to Nitro and the others in Stamford, knowing it would end in disaster? Were they swinging votes to get the Avengers' UN status revoked? And how easy would it have been for the Skrull to have infiltrated the group as part of the prelude to the invasion? Of course, this is all just a conspiracy. It couldn't really be real. Could it?